Today's reflection is titled Certainty of God's Promises, focusing on Psalm 23. In a hospital setting, certainty can feel weird. Diagnosis change, emotional rise and fall, families wait for answers. Service members wrestle with pain, recovery, uncertainty, and sometimes invisible wounds that cannot be seen on X-ray or monitor. Yet, in the middle of uncertainty, Psalm 23 reminds us that there are some things we can be absolutely certain about, not because life is predictable, but because God is faithful. The first certainty the 23rd Psalm shows us of is the certainty of God's provision. That's Psalm 23 verse 1 to 2. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. The writer of the 23rd Psalm does not say life will always be easy. He says the shepherd will provide. In military culture, many carry the burden of always having to stay strong, alert, and mission ready. But eventually, the body gets tired, the minds become overwhelmed, and the soul exhausted. One of the beautiful truths of Psalm 23 is that God knows how to care for weary people. He provides rest for the exhausted mind, peace for the anxious heart, and strength for the weary soul. Sometimes, God's provision is physical healing. Sometimes, it is emotional resilience. Sometimes, it is the presence of a nurse, a battle buddy, a family member, or a quiet moment of peace in the middle of suffering. The second certainty the 23rd Psalm shows us of is the certainty of God's protection. That's Psalm 23, verse 3 to 4. He restores my soul. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Notice, the writer says, walk through the valley. The valley is real, but it's not a final destination. Hospitals are places where people often walk through valleys. The valleys of illness, the valleys of grief, the valleys of trauma, the valleys of depression, and sometimes valleys of moral injury and spiritual exhaustion. Yet, God promises His protection not always from hardship, but through hardship. The third certainty the 23rd Psalm shows us of is the certainty of God's production. That's Psalm 23 verse 5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. This verse teaches us that God can still produce something good even in difficult environments. Pain does not cancel purpose. Suffering does not eliminate calling. And hardship does not stop God from working. God has a way of producing hope in places where people expect despair. An overflowing cup symbolizes abundance. It means that even after trauma, grief, or loss, God still has the ability to fill a life with meaning, purpose, and grace. The fourth and final certainty that the 23rd Psalm shows us of is the certainty of God's presence. That's Psalm 23 verse 6. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The writer ends with confidence and not uncertainty. He says surely, not maybe, not perhaps, but surely. One of the greatest promises God gives us is His presence. In hospital rooms, intensive care units, waiting areas, and outpatient clinics, God is present. When people feel alone, God is near. When words are hard to find, God still understands. When the future feels uncertain, His goodness and mercy continue to follow us. And for the believer, Psalm 23 points beyond the present life to the eternal hope we have in Jesus. The final certainty is this: we are not walking alone, and this word is not the end of the story. In conclusion, Psalm 23 reminds us of the full peace of the certainty of God's promises, the certainty that God will provide for you, the certainty that God will protect you, the certainty that God will make you productive, and the certainty that God will remain present. These are certainties grounded in the character of our faithful shepherd. In a hospital environment where so much can change in a moment, we can still anchor our hearts in the certainty of God's promises.